Alright, so we're back, of course, talking about some more Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and we have a bit of an update for this game going into 2023 from Yoshinori Kitase, and this comes from Famitsu. They do these every single year. At the end of the year, they do these creator interviews. They talk to a bunch of devs across the board. They kind of give updates to like their fan bases and shit, and kind of what to expect going into the next year. Now, this show was going to cover Gamatsu's translation of the Famitsu interview, because usually they're pretty good about that stuff, but for whatever reason on their page, they only have Kitase's 2023 ambition quote, and not the rest of the interview, which is also involves his like 2023 keyword, but also his recent report, which really just involves Crisis Core Reunion, but it's all still, that's the full interview. I don't know why Gamatsu's missing that. But luckily, we have plenty of good people in this community who do translations of Japanese interviews and shit, and in this case, we're just going to use Genki's translation on Twitter, just because they're the one I seen yesterday. So shout out to them, of course. So first up is Kitase's keyword for 2023, which is simply 7, which he further adds on, I plan to keep this for the next few years. So clearly that's in relation to FF7 as a whole, but the fact that he says that his keyword for the next couple of years, next few years, is going to be 7 is very, very interesting. It's actually the first time that we've seen this be the keyword. I believe it was also for Kitase, like a couple years back. I want to say it was 2018 leading into 2019. His keyword was 7, so a very similar situation. That's how we knew we were going to get information going into 2019 for Remake and like the re-reveal of the game and shit. And obviously we knew that Rebirth is coming out potentially next year, or at least next winter, so it's not really surprising that this is his keyword. However, Kitase's 2023 ambition is the actual juicy bit of this interview, to which he says, we will continue to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII with 7 campaigns, and we would like to deliver further information on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth at the right time. Please stay tuned. So there's a couple of things to break down from that particular quote. For starters, the getting more information for Rebirth at the right time sometime next year is obviously a given. With the game having a next winter release window, then we're clearly getting information at some time within 2023. So that's not really particularly news, but it's still good to hear. But it's the other parts of the quote that's pretty interesting, because even though we're getting into 2023, we're leaving 2022 behind, we're leaving the 25th anniversary behind for FF7, they're going to still continue to celebrate the 25th anniversary in 2023, which is pretty cool. But also that they're going to be having 7 different campaigns to celebrate the 25th anniversary in 2023, and that's what's got my interest. So all throughout 2023, I'm assuming there's going to be these campaigns that are happening. Probably one every month or so, month and a half, 2 months, something like that. Have some sort of campaign to celebrate the 25th anniversary for FF7, but what those are, I have no goddamn idea. I've seen a few different ideas and theories out there. One of them is obviously Ever Crisis. That game's supposed to drop sometime next year, right? We're getting that goddamn beta in the summer of 2023, sometime around the summer of 2023. So, there could be a launch campaign at some point with Ever Crisis that kind of celebrates the 25th anniversary of FF7 original. Outside of that, I'm not really sure. Some people have theorized another DLC for, I guess, maybe Remake, or I guess Integrate specifically. I don't know if they would do that now, though. It's been a little too long, right? Episode Intermission came out a little over a year after the launch of Remake. But it's now been a year and a half since Episode Intermission came out, and by the time we would probably get some sort of DLC, Intermission itself would be 2 years old. So I don't know if they would want to drop a piece of DLC this late into the life cycle. I'm not against it. I'm sure none of us are against it. But I'd rather them actually work on and drop Rebirth as early as they possibly can than maybe do a DLC for that game sometime down the road. Some of the other ideas for upcoming campaigns for FF7 that could possibly be happening in 2023, there is at least one FF7 related project that we don't know anything about, and this comes from a quote from Nomura earlier this year where they were kind of talking about the 25th anniversary for FF7, and he listed off, Remake, Ever Crisis for Soldier, but then goes on to say that there's even more unannounced projects that were started after Remake got started, right? And one of those was probably Crisis Core Reunion, because at this time we obviously did not know this game existed. But he said projects, as in more than one. So there's at least one other project that we just haven't seen yet, and that could be one of the things that's revealed at some point in 2023. Now, when we say that there's one unannounced project, that's obviously lowballing it. That's the minimum. That's the safe number. But there could be multiple unannounced projects. Now, what those could be, who knows? Obviously, we can't really guess that right now. But there is at least one trademark that I can think of currently that I don't believe we've seen anything come to fruition with. And that was Square Enix final trademark for something called Unnumbered, which obviously something, involving numbers can pertain to FF7 in a lot of different ways, man. So who knows what that could be? Maybe that's FF7 related. Maybe it's not. Now, is Unnumbered going to be something FF7 related? It's hard to really say, because we've got burned relatively recently for something that seemed like it was 100% a trademark for something involving Parasite Eve, and it ended up being some sort of NFT bullshit or whatever the case. So even though Unnumbered sounds like it's FF7 related, it's probably some more blockchain NFT goddamn garbage. So who knows? And also when it comes to campaigns involving FF7, they don't have to be anything super major. So it could be something along the lines of the infamous Butterfinger campaign that happened for Remake, where you bought candy bars and you got DLC items that were eventually given away for free, so I wasted my goddamn money. Thank you again, Square Enix. And like, to be honest, it wasn't like that much money, but the thing is, this shit was free in August of 2020. We're talking 4 months after the fucking launch of Remake and doing this Butterfinger campaign. They just gave this shit away for free. Like, that's what's fucked up about it. If it was like a year and a half, 2 years later or something, it's like, whatever, who gives a shit? But we're talking just a couple months later. Like, that was pretty fucked up. So if they do something like this again, some sort of like campaign to get free DLC items, as much as I love in-game content, you guys hear me talk about that all the time, they get shoved up their ass, because I'm not doing it again. And lastly, for Kitase's Famitsu interview, he has the recent report section that says, "Are you enjoying Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion that was released at the end of last year? Please enjoy the activities of Zack, the other main character of the Final Fantasy VII world." I love that quote in particular simply for the last part where Kitase refers to Zack as the other main character for FF7, because that is absolutely true. There's actually a lot of Zack like detractors and haters out there, and if we're being completely honest here, it's mostly Claris, people that want Cloud and Aerith to be together, whatever the case, so they don't like the idea of like Aerith and Zack, so they dislike Zack the character, etc., etc. But it doesn't matter how much people dislike Zack, because he is a very, very important character to FF7 as a whole, and maybe in a lot of ways the most important character, right? Like, in the end, Cloud's the hero, right? He's the one that saves the day multiple times from Sephiroth, etc., etc. But if the shit that happened in Crisis Core didn't happen, if Zack didn't die past Buster 1, etc., etc., then we might not have ever had the Cloud that we have, and there never would have kicked off the entire FF7 story, so goddamn love me some Zack. And I absolutely love the fact that we're getting to see like the character of Zack more because of Reunion, and then obviously going forward with Rebirth and beyond, whatever's happening with Zack, it doesn't really matter what it is, we're just going to get more of Zack, which I absolutely love. But my dudes, that'll be pretty much the video. So 2023 is going to be bigger than what we thought, right? We obviously knew that there's going to be stuff for Rebirth, you know, announcements, trailers, etc., things about the game. But there's actually going to be more than that, right? The fact that they're going to continue to celebrate the 25th anniversary for FF7, but also there's going to be like 7 different campaigns, and this could be obviously new projects revealed or whatever the case, or maybe we're buying more Butterfinger for bullshit-ass shitty DLC. I can't wait, dude. It's going to be exciting. Other than dudes, that is going to be the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, dashingdavidYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Rogaine, or leave it like Cobain.